So the garden is starting to come up. There's a lot of work involved at this time of the year. My beans are up. My tomatoes are up. The cucumbers are coming along. They don't like to have wet feet, and we've been getting a lot of rain recently, so that's been affecting their growth. Here we have zucchini, and this is the pumpkin squash. And potatoes are on the very end. I usually plant russet because they store well in the winter, and I can reuse the seeds that are left over for the coming year. And then I planted some wildflowers that are like catnip and some other wildflowers that are good for tea, and they're starting to come up slowly. Here there's white clover, which is really good for tea. And then we have all kinds of wild stuff growing that can be used for medicine and teas. This is a dogwood. And in this meadow grows goldenrod, fireweed, wild raspberry, dandelion, borage. I'll just wait till that large truck drives by before I keep speaking. And many other plants that are not sprayed or messed around with that I can use for some of my tea blends. And of course, any spruce tip tea I make comes directly from our own source, our own forest here. So the domestic garden that needs help with growth and food and grows here, and then the wild garden is all around it. And over there we have the busy road of civilization coexisting together, two worlds coexisting together, yet so divided. And how do you navigate through this life? Where do you go to find peace of mind and to reconnect with source? To step outside of the television and the computer and the box of programs that fill your mind on a daily basis with division, hate, fear, corruption, lies, desires to material world entrapments. We live in a material world. We live in a world that is creation and destruction all in itself, and humans are like their own worlds. What they create or destroy, it's all connected, all of it. And there's things that we can't see that surround us that can influence the choices we make. If you're in an environment where there's constant noise, constant distraction, constant bombardment of your nervous system, the system in your body that regulates your emotions and your mental health, if you're overloaded, that's going to cause a system breakdown. So you're going to feel confused, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel all those things that keep you trapped from being healthy, and addictions and repeated programs. That's how you become like the gambler, where you get addicted to feeling low all the time. So you go to your living room and you sit in your chair and you eat your Doritos and you consume what's on the TV, and you consume the man-made commercialism box of Doritos or cookies in your hand, and you disconnect. You disconnect from your natural, healthy connection to the earth, and you connect to a man-made, illusionary world where people have known about the magic and the power and the frequency of the earth, and they've learned how to hide that and keep that from you and manipulate your frequency to keep you trapped like a fallen angel. Have you ever noticed that when you speak your truth to someone who is deep in the illusion, they will turn on you, or they will try to create chaos around you? And people call this a narcissistic. There's many labels. They've made up so many labels for masks that they can hide behind to keep people fighting and divided. So if you're programmed into a certain narrative that they've created, no matter what someone says to you, if they're trying to help you to see another side, another reality that is coexisting next to that one, where you're outside in nature and you're feeding your body the right things and you see through the illusion because you're not plugged into it anymore. Well, a lot of people are programmed and they don't even realize that they're programmed. That's why it's called brainwashing. They can't see anything but the box of lies that sits in their living room and keeps them trapped in that reality of governmental society, mentalism, hypnotism, addictions, sickness. It's all being fed into your mind through the television set and their narratives. When you get out in nature and nature mirrors to you the truth, when you look around and you see where a forest has been logged and flattened, and then, of course, because the watershed is gone and it can't cool the forest floor, you get the fires, you get the corporations coming in with their monocultures to take advantage of that for the rich and the wealthy and the greedy. And they keep you thinking that you'll achieve their level eventually at the top of the pyramid, when really all you are the wheels at the bottom. Even if you're a millionaire, you're not making as much as those families, those cult families at the top. So, and this is why, with the programming, when you try to speak to somebody it glitches their reality and it sends them into a tailspin where they don't want to hear it and they will attack you. They will, because you're basically holding a mirror up to them and trying to tell them the truth of what you see. But they're not ready to see it yet. When I was first starting my journey, everything looked satanic to me. Everyone looked like they were attacking me. Even people that were addicted to drugs, that were sick, covered in sores, and crying out for my help. They wanted to attach to my light because, like a moth lost in the dark, when they see a light, they want to come to it and they want to attach to it and they want to feed from that energy because their energy is so low. They've been placed in a mental state where they can't even think for themselves. They've become dependent. Trapped in the pyramid. You don't see the families at the top that have held power for so long, you don't see them being the gardeners or the creators or the boots on the ground. They sit at the top and they loosh from the bottom. And the real creators are the ones at the bottom. The ones at the bottom have God's fingerprint. They can nurture, they can create. But when entities of a lower frequency want to take over the earth, they're going to make men and women turn on their nature. They're going to create illusions and labels and make up scenarios and narratives to mess up your compass and to make you suspicious of everyone around you. When I see what's happening now, it's like a mass extinction of human beings. And some might call it the sorting of the wheat from the tares, or prophecies coming true, or whatever. But is that another narrative that they've created? If people started to know about the spells that are placed on them and how they've been trapped to believe that they can be nothing more than at the bottom, the wheels that generate, the generations, the generators that keep the abuse going and keep the lower frequency on the earth until we destroy ourselves. If they know about that spell and everybody says, I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of being sick. I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to be medicated. I don't want to be addicted to pornography. I don't want to see people abusing their bodies on pornographic sites and feeding a ritualistic desire that causes their own destruction through DNA coding that gets passed down into their children. And how these creatures, that's what I call them, have become so heartless and soulless that even having all this money, it doesn't satisfy their desire because they want to be God and they think they're gods. But they can't create anything. Do we need to be governed? Can we not trust our own moral compass? Can we not get back to being families and communities where we can help each other instead of criticizing and competing and tearing each other down. Love is not lust. Love is not desire. You can love someone of the same sex and it doesn't have to be sexual. They like to confuse the mind. And if they feed you so much pornography that you become immune to it, does that cause you not to function as a masculine male anymore? It's like when you get addicted to something, or if you take a drug over and over again every day, your body's going to build up an immunity to it. So again, like I said, that drug will not work. So you'll have to go to something stronger. But it's not the high that you're addicted to. It's the crash after, feeding those entities that keep you trapped like a puppet on a string to do their bidding. We all have the capability to build homes. We all have the capability to grow food, to invent. When you sell your patent or your design to a company or a corporation and they take over it, they mass produce it, they homogenize it, they copyright it, to make money. And you get pushed aside back down to the bottom of the pyramid. Sure, they'll give you a cut, but you'll never be at the top like them. What if one of the cornerstones were removed at the bottom? What if one of the cornerstones, one of the wheels came loose and decided to spin off on its own? What if that wheel picked up momentum and started to see more and more and more? And then the other wheels started to spin off of the bottom. Well, that pyramid wouldn't have a leg to stand on anymore. I don't believe in governmental programming. I don't believe in thieves, liars, and murderers. But I believe in nature, and I believe that she is in everything. And she has a way of maintaining and correcting when she sees it. Something is unnatural and is threatening the rest of her blueprint. The earth is your home. You don't see animals, wild animals, paying to live on the earth, do you? You don't see them paying taxes for building a nest in a tree. When did we allow them, when they're supposed to be working for us, to create wars, to murder our sons and our daughters, not through wars, but through addictions? When did we allow them to school our children to be little robots who all follow the same program and have to be told whether they're wealthy enough to be entitled to go to school to learn. Wisdom is not for a greedy few. Wisdom is evolution. And when you can't create anything except division, pain, suffering, it leads to nothing. So everything returns to nothing. Everything will implode on itself if it doesn't evolve. I don't worship false idols. I don't believe in the devil that they created. But I believe in you. I believe that you're more powerful than they gave you credit for. And I believe that once you know what's been done to you, you're going to take back your gift. And you're going to heal yourself. And you're going to learn to see the truth from the lies. You're going to open your wings and you're going to fly free of any chains or any earthly materialistic programs that chain you to believing that you're nothing more than a mechanical, programmable brain with no soul or heart. I love you. Keep going.